Hi, and welcome back to Lisa's Stamp Studio. I've got a cute card for you today that has a little wiggle in it because we've given it a little motion. With a quick little pluck of that image is going to move and create a lot of interest to this card. I'm going to be giving you some scoring techniques too to create a very subtle background. If this is your first time visiting my YouTube channel, I would love to have you subscribe. Click the subscribe link down below, and next to it, you'll find a bell icon. If you click that, you'll receive notifications when I'm live right here on YouTube, as well as when I upload a new video. Let's head over to the stamp table and let's get started on today's card. Here's a good close-up of the card we're going to be creating together. And look how cute this is when you wiggle that image. Really easy to put together. To create this scored background, I'm going to be using my Simply Scored platform. I did use my paper trimmer initially with the scoring blade, and you certainly can do that, but I wanted to give you another option. This piece of Whisper White cardstock for the layer on this card is cut 4 by 5 1/4. You'll find all the cutting dimensions for today's project, along with supplies and pictures, below the video description here. There'll be a link. I'm going to line this up all the way into the corner to make it easy for me to create the score lines. The Simply Scored tool you'll find has a ruler across the top, and there's also notches. It comes with several place markers so that if you're doing multiple score lines for repeated projects, it makes it quick and easy. You're also going to notice that there are score lines in the board for every 1/8 inch. A stylus tool is included. It's dual-ended. One end has a smaller tip. The other end is a little bit larger. I like the larger one for designer paper because it's thinner, and the smaller tip for cardstock, which is what I'm going to be using today. What we're going to be doing is scoring 2 lines at 1/4 inch apart and then skipping a 1/2 inch and repeating that pattern. So I'm going to start here at the 1/4 inch mark and follow that track right here in the scoreboard, and I'm going to score down. Now I'll skip over a 1/4 inch and I'll do the exact same thing. Now I'm going to skip over a 1/2 inch, which will bring me to the 1 inch mark, and I'll score. Again, moving over a 1/4 inch, and I'll score. Now I'm going to repeat that by skipping to a 1/2 inch further, which is the 1 3/4 inch mark, and scoring again. So it's every 1/4 inch till you have 2 lines like they are here, and then skipping a 1/2 inch in between. And I'm just going to repeat this process all the way across the front of this piece of cardstock. Once I'm all finished, I'm going to flip it over, and you're going to notice that the front has a slightly raised image, which is going to give us a really fun and easy background. I'm going to be using my paper trimmer for this next step. Now, the Stampin' Up! Trimmer includes both the cutting blade, which is the dark blade, and the light blade, which is scoring. This is the one I used on my original card. And this is where we're going to want to cut on an angle. I'm going to tell you that I did not measure this. I completely eyeballed it, but I want to give you a couple tips to make it easy for you at home. I'll open up the handle to my cutter, and I'm just going to determine the angle that I want to cut this on. Again, I did not measure, so I just kind of eyeballed it. Remember that this dark line that runs here behind the paper is the cutting track. So make sure that your blade is out of the way, and then navigate it where you want it. I want to make sure that my bottom corner is up and out of the way because I don't want to cut that off. Once you're happy with the cutting angle, go ahead and close the track and then just slice. I've opened it up and I now have 2 pieces. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to determine how much of an opening I need to fit my greeting. The stamp set that I'm using is about 1 inch wide, so I want to make sure that I've got a 1 inch circumference between this layer and this layer so that the greeting will fit. Knowing that this is the cutting line, I'm going to cut off a 1/2 inch from each of these edges. So 1/2 inch from this one and then a 1/2 inch from this one. I'm lining up that cut end here at the 1/2 inch mark. There's a line that goes all the way down the trimmer that makes this really easy. And then I'll just slice. So this part we don't need. I'll set this aside and I'll come back now to the top half. And I'll do the exact same thing here. I'm going to cut off a 1/2 inch, lining it up here against the line. I will close the handle and then I'll slice. These 2 pieces now are going to equal that 1 inch area that I need to stamp my greeting. I'm using a base of Whisper White cardstock that measures 5 1/2 by 8 1/2. I did score it in half right before the video, and I'll go ahead and I'll fold this. I'm a big fan of my bone folder for that nice crisp edge, and this is where we're going to attach those panels. You can see here that I'm careful to make sure that the raised lines are going to be facing up. So we've got one panel here at the top, and we've got the other panel here at the bottom. No two cards are going to be exactly alike unless you measure exactly how far down you cut one card from the previous card. With the card base here, we've got our top panel here at the top and our bottom panel will go here. Since I didn't measure where my slant was, this greeting and image will be higher than my original one, which is totally fine. What I like to do is I like to line these up exactly where they're going to be when my card is completed. This will give me an exact area for where I need to stamp my greeting. Once I have it aligned where I'd like it, I'm going to go ahead and take a pencil and I'm going to create a very slight pencil line right here on the base of the cardstock to indicate where that greeting needs to fall. Using my Memento ink pad, I've got the greeting that I selected. This comes from the stamp set called Back on Your Feet. Isn't this adorable? Really fun for both adults and children, and there are all kinds of witty greetings included. I'll go ahead and now ink that up in the Memento ink, and I'm choosing to stamp that all the way over here to the left-hand side. I'll set the cardstock aside for just a moment, and I've brought in a piece of thick Whisper White cardstock. I'm going to be using the turtle image from that exact same stamp set, and I'll ink him up in Memento ink. That'll get stamped here. I chose to color my image using alcohol-based Stampin' Blends markers. They come in a light and a dark shade for the same color tone, which will give you a really easy blending process. I prefer to use the lightest color first, but that's just a matter of preference. You'll also see that there's two different tips. The thicker line will indicate the brush tip. The thinner line will indicate the chisel tip. I prefer to use the chisel tip for this image simply because these areas are rather small. Now I've got one that's already colored for you, but I want to walk you through the process of the coloring technique if you're new to this. So I'm going to concentrate on just one area here, and just like you would use any other marker, you're going to go ahead and you're going to color in your square. Now, of course, all this area is green, so all I did was go ahead and just color in the whole thing. Once that was finished, I came in with the darker shade, and the sketch lines here in the image are really a great cheat line. These are the artist's rendering for some definition. So that's where I chose to place my darker color of the Stampin' Blends markers. You're going to need to give this about 10 seconds for the alcohol in these to actually dissipate, which will allow you to come back now with the lighter shade and create that blending. So I'm going back to my lighter shade and I'm blending the dark and the light shades together. And again, as the alcohol begins to evaporate, you're going to notice that this is going to look more blended than it does with harsh color tones between the two color differences. I use the Old Olive combination here, and I use Crumb Cake for the belly and for the pads of his feet as well as the nails. I went ahead and I used my scissors and I cut that image out. I'm going to slide that off to the side. I've got my card base here once again, and now that I know my ink is dry, I'm going to come in with my eraser and I'm going to erase those pencil lines. Now we're ready to put our panels on our card. Make sure that they're going in the right direction. Make sure that you've got an idea on positioning. So I'm going to start with the one on the top and I'm going to flip that over, and I'm going to be using an ample supply of dimensionals. I want to make sure that this is good and balanced. This panel is going to create a little bit of a shadow box effect around that opening around the greeting. It's also going to give us that channel that we need to create that image up so that it'll wiggle. I'm placing my dimensionals here, and I'm also going to place another here in the center, making sure that this is well balanced. Using my Take Your Pick tool, I've got the paper piercing tool attachment, and I'll go ahead and I'll remove those paper backings. Coming back to the card base, I'm going to be very careful to make sure that I've got a border around this panel on all three sides, and then when I'm happy with it, I'll go ahead and tack that in place. Now this bottom panel, we're going to do the exact same thing. So I'm going to flip that over, and then I'll cover it sufficiently with dimensionals. Again, taking my Take Your Pick tool, we'll remove those paper backings. This panel now will go here at the bottom. Again, I'm looking to make sure that I've got it aligned where I want it before I tack it down. Now that this portion is finished, let's slide that off to the side and let's talk about adding the wiggle to this image. I'm using a really fun product by Hampton Art called Action Wobbles. Basically, it's a piece of plastic that's been coiled into a spring. Now, one side has a paper backing, and when you remove this, it's going to be sticky. The other side also has a paper backing, but you're going to see that it's hollow so that you can attach your image to it. Let me show you how it works. Back here to the card base, I'm going to remove the paper backing from the solid side. That's going to leave you this clear platform. You're going to want to make sure that it's going to be positioned so that it'll fall inside the opening here. Also take into consideration the width of your image. So I want to make sure I don't mount my wobbler too close to the greeting. So I'm going to center it here inside that panel, and then I'll press. That adhesive is very, very strong. I have had no problems with it coming off. As I mentioned, there's another piece of adhesive underneath this panel here. So I'll go ahead and remove that paper backing. I'm going to hover my image over that wobbler just to make sure I've got it exactly where I want it. And then when I'm happy, I'll tack that in place. So then you can just give that a little wiggle, and that'll create a really fun motion card, something both adults and children will enjoy. You'll be able to find the products that I've used in the Stampin' Up! Annual Catalog. Now, if you don't already have a demonstrator and you are interested in receiving a complimentary copy, head over to lisasstampstudio.com and click on Contact Me. Here's the card we created together today, the one I created before you joined me. If you have enjoyed today's video, please give it a thumbs up here on YouTube, which is a like. It certainly helps. Thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great day.